Hey y'all, it's Memorial Day, and I want to give a message about the Black experience and Memorial Day. Check this out. These are pictures of men from my family, from both sides of my family, who served in the armed forces, despite that this country did not love them, did not respect them, did not think they were fully human. It is a greater sacrifice to go through something so horrific and to still fight and serve for it and not be recognized. Now look at this one here. I showed it earlier, but there is a very special story behind this grave right here. This is my great-great-great-grandfather. He was born enslaved by the last name Dodson, Dodson. He ran away from slavery, and when he taught himself how to read and write, and he fought in the Civil War for the Union because the Union was fighting against slavery. Doesn't mean that the people in the Union Army were benevolent people who loved and adored Black Americans. They were fighting for the end of chattel slavery, and so did he. He made it through the Civil War alive. And then he got that money that we get from the war, I forget what it's called, and he bought 62 acres of land in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Generations of my family grew up on that land because of this man who served his country against his country for the abolishment of chattel slavery. But this isn't the stories that we typically tell on Memorial Day are one-sided stories about the glory of American imperialism and how we should honor those who stood for that right. But there's another right in Memorial Day, a right that a lot of Black and brown folks who joined the military joined because that was a way for them to have a career, that was a way for them to have some stability. And they endured an horrific amount of hate and discrimination. If you want to read a book about some of this experience, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is an awesome writer, and he wrote a book called Brothers in Arms, and it was about the most successful tank battalion in World War II, which was an all-Black tank battalion. Jackie Robinson was a short member of that tank battalion. It's a great book. So my great-great-great-grandfather, when he ran away and taught himself how to read, he changed his name to Dotson. You can go Glen Burnie, Maryland on Furnace Branch Road and see Dotson's Lane. His grandson, Bill Dotson, started 3 businesses: Dotson's Tavern, Dotson's Ribs, and Dotson's Auto Garage. And I got to see these things growing up. But there was another legacy to that isn't told here as well. One of my aunts who passed away in the late 90s was a young girl when William C. Dotson, the runaway, as we call him, was still alive. He died in 1927, as you see on that marker. And my Aunt Hilda was a young girl when he was that age, and she would have to take care of him. He would tell her stories about watching his brother get sold. He would tell her stories about fighting in the Civil War and there being so much blood that it looked like rainwater running down rocky roads. That when a horse gets shot, it screams like a person. I don't know how you can have more trauma than that. He had a wound on his back from being beaten and whipped that would never heal. And he would wake up screaming at night because he had night terrors, and she would have to clean those wounds on his back. So she's also getting vicarious trauma from that. Slavery is not so far in the past that we are not touched by it now. It is not a specter that haunts us. It is alive and it is real. It is in our holidays. It is in our lives. It is in our DNA. And I want you to think about this even deeper when we talk about mental health and reparations. William C. Dotson, the runaway, when he bought that 62 acres of land and he had a family and raised generations on that land, how did he raise those kids? Probably beat those kids just like he was on a plantation. So he actually brought the plantation to his freedom. This is why I strongly believe in decolonized parenting. Follow that hashtag. She is amazing. Follow that handle, actually. Y'all, that is trauma. Those are some of the issues with narcissism and sociopathy that a lot of Black Americans deal with in our homes, and we don't realize what it is. That doesn't mean that we're bad people. We are not. That means we have experienced a lot. It also means that those aspects of our experience of enduring racism should be part of the criteria in the DSM-5 for PTSD. My personal belief, this is my personal opinion, it's not in there in the DSM-5 for criteria is PTSD because reparations would be undeniable because we all would have PTSD as Black Americans. Take this Memorial Day to recognize the contribution that Black and brown and Asian members of this country have dedicated. It doesn't mean that there aren't white heroes who are amazing. We just haven't told these full stories. Peace.